Welcome, welcome, welcome. Is my sound okay? Welcome to our Englewood Virtual Village meeting. This is our second one for the year. I think a few of you was on with us before, and we did Black Houses Matter. And so we're continuing that conversation, and we're also have some just exciting news that we're going to share, to our members, to our supporters, to our followers. We hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties, but as you know, in this Zoom world, we cannot guarantee. We would definitely be monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions or anything in the chat, we'll make sure that Jim is looking at those and flagging those. It will be an opportunity to have voices from the village like we used to at the end. So we'll be watching those hands as we go. It's a webinar setting just so that it could just stay clean and people are muted. We will unmute you if we see that your hand is raised. And then if it's a moment for question and answers, we might just move that to that kind of section in case, we're in the middle of a presentation. We are streaming on live, but we're not watching the chat on live. So if you are interacting with us on Facebook, hello, we appreciate that. We'll probably follow up later on to do so. If you don't know me, I'm Myesha Butler. I'm one of the co-founders and now the CEO of RAGE, the Resident Association of Greater Englewood. Got on my demand justice hat, my hoodie. And on our panelists, or at least on our team from RAGE, is Jim Blissett and Brittany Norman. They'll be kind of serving as some technical support and assisting with the meeting. And if you guys want to just introduce yourself really quick, you can go ahead and do that. I'll start with you, Jim.
Hey everyone, I'm Jim Blissett here. I am the Community Engagement Specialist with RAGE. I am in about week number 3, and I'm excited to get to know everyone, learn more about the work. But as we move forward here on out, please feel free to reach out to me, with all of your community engagement concerns and needs. I'm gonna be calling on you guys and, tapping into your specialties as we look to improve our neighborhood and keep growing together. So I'm gonna leave my email address in the chat room. So go ahead, feel free to use the chat tonight and we will engage it. So thanks guys.
Maybe Brittany.
Hey everyone, my name's Brittany Norman. I'm the Communications and Operations Consultant working with RAGE. Some of you may see me before because I'm also an Englewood resident. I have been working with RAGE since October, and I'm the person who's sending you guys all emails and reminding you to come to the meetings, and etc. So it's wonderful to be here and part of this team. Myesha, I'll also be trying to monitor the Facebook questions as well as it goes on. Thank you guys all for being here.
Yes, and just so we can't go around and do introductions, we're gonna try to launch just a quick poll just to know who's here as we go into our presentation and talk about RAGE. We just gonna have to know how much we need to go deeper. So if you've ever attended either a virtual meeting, in-person meeting, whoever you are, if you can't remember, that's cool. We'll keep the poll up for a second to just see who knows us, who don't. Cool. Okay, it's going. We'll let it go for about 30 seconds real quick. Just want to know if you in the building. Who's in the building? A lot of yeses, which is great. Some no's, which is also good. A couple of can't remembers. That's cool. So thank you all. First of all, the folks who've been here before, welcome back. Of course, we would be probably in a space somewhere talking and eating, but we're gonna make do, and we're gonna keep talking about making do because the work continues. And the folks who have never been to either a virtual meeting and or any RAGE anything, welcome as well. We hope that you consider joining our association, and we'll talk a little bit about that and possibly learning a lot today that will get you either involved with RAGE or some of the things that are happening in the community. So if you're not already sure who we are and how to reach us, you could reach us either by email at joinrage@gmail.com. You can reach us by phone at 866-845-1032. We are on Twitter if you're into Twitter, at join_rage. And then Instagram, we love Instagram. We are rage_Englewood on Instagram, and then also Facebook. And then, of course, you can always go to our website, Rage Englewood, either with one E or two E's. So please, if you don't know who we are, if you're not on Facebook, go to our Facebook, share with your friends, share with folks anybody who don't know us, let them know us now. And I'm just gonna go back because I wanna go over what we plan to cover today, which is quite a bit. We did our welcomes, wanted to know who was here. I'm going to do a brief background and just overview about Rage, and just talk about some of our history, and then also give a program update to talk about really what's next for Rage in the next 10 years and what's happening right now, which we're really, really excited about, which is the re-up. And then we'll have some, as a part of our By the Block series, we'll have 2 guest speakers. We're working on one who was having issues with Zoom, but we hope to have her on soon, and another guest speaker from Inland Bank. And then we'll open it up for questions. And then, of course, we want a moment from Voices from the Village. We'll have to keep those very brief. And then we'll do a few announcements and try to get out by 6. We'll try to be very, very cautious of the time. And I see that it's 4:40 now. Let me go to the next slide. You already know how to reach us. So for folks who have never been to our meetings, don't know who Rage is, first time ever logging on, even some of our guest speakers, we are an association of residents. I think that's like the part that, even though it's in our name, we like to make that very clear, that the majority of our members actually live in this community, are rooted in this community, and almost all the initiatives are usually the brainchild of a resident in Englewood. And I have to make sure I make that very, very clear, since most people have such a negative perception of who the residents of Englewood are. And so we are an association who our mission to see positive change in this community. I think we can all agree, if we use the reaction, raise our hand if we need positive change in Englewood, I'm sure everybody will agree to that. It has not been an easy journey for our ancestors, for the people before us, for the people that's going to be after us. And so Rage really came together as just a body of residents who just wanted to connect, build, and then take action together. And that building part is very, very important with us. Brittany, did you want me to? We need to. Somebody had her hand raised.
No, you're good. We were responding to the to raise your hand. You're fine.
Yes, if you have questions, I know I try to talk fast, but I just try to give at least a brief overview for folks, again, who do not know us. We were founded in November of 2010. As I said in the beginning, totally resident-led, resident-driven, from the folks right here on the ground in Englewood and West Englewood, which to us is Greater Englewood. And then we're asset-based. I mean, we really do look at all the assets in the community, and the first line of assets are the people. And so we can't really talk through any of the work that's being done in Englewood if you don't view the people in this community as the number one assets that you can build upon and build upon and build upon and build a whole entire beautiful community the way you want it. Most of our members reside. So if you are not familiar with Englewood or not familiar with who we are, really the premise of why we got started was because of the division of the different wards within the Englewood community. This is a map from, I believe, about 2010 or 11, I want to say. It got remapped, and we're going up against a redistricting again. But as you can see from here, it's divided in about 4 1/4 different wards. And we thought it was really important that, we join together as one, regardless of the fact that we're divided in these like crazy puzzles of automatic wards. You have to work with each of the wards when you're a community-based organization like us, that can also cause tension and be difficult. So it's better that we at least be united, and the issues that affect somebody on Aberdeen is the same thing that affects somebody on Walcott. It's around, we all got vacant buildings, we all got vacant lots, we all have violence, it's also garbage, our commercial corridors need help. So to us, 16, 15, 26, 17 is still Englewood. And so at the end of the day, we love that now our current aldermen are at least working together to recognize we are one community and it should be addressed that way. And then for folks who, are like, hey, I don't live in Englewood, but I have a church there. I'm a pastor there. I teach in Englewood. I'm a doctor in Englewood. They're also welcome to be members of RAGE. These are also stakeholders that we feel are equally important to our work, as long as residents are the ones that are guiding the work. And so they're also willing, we're always looking for members from in the community or either outside the community to help us with our mission. And then if you wanted to join, real easy, online, I'm gonna tell Brittany just to put the link in the chat. You can do it online, it's quick, take about 2 or 3 minutes. Again, the levels of membership are executive for the residents, they are top tier members, and then affiliates who not necessarily live in the community, but have a connection to the community or used to live here. Grandma's still here, come here and bring their kids to the daycare, whatever that looks like, and you want to connect with like-minded people, you are also welcome to join. Then it's just folks who really don't want to be in virtual meetings. They really don't want to do much, but they want to at least get the information from us and know who we are and what we're working on, because they might jump in at any given time. And so we look at that as our associate members, and that's only $10 on an annual basis. And all the dues are to support our operations and our expenses. That's the website. It's going to get a facelift. Don't worry. We're getting there. This website is 10 years old, and the people in the picture are one of the creators of the website. He'll get mad that I mentioned that, Damon Drummer, who's one of our founders and also now our current board member. But yeah, we know we need to get fixed up, but it's still a lot of use for information there. You can still join online. And if you was looking for the link today, you could have found it on our website. Brittany, I'm gonna pause for a second in case it's any questions or anything that might have came in over the overview.
Yeah, there's one question about the map. Can we find that ward map on the website?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And Aisha, I just want to tell you too, Katina is here as
okay,
well.
Cool, perfect. All right, cool. And I'm doing good on time. And then Jim, who just asked the question and introduced himself. I just want everybody to meet him. He already introduced himself, and I'm excited to have him on board with RAGE. We connected years ago before, and what's so funny is he's been really in contact with RAGE recently over the work that we're doing with Go Green on Racine, because he used to go to Gershwin, as some folks know it, Grand TV Woods, that the Go Green on Racine team is in process of getting access to, and I'll talk a little bit about that. For folks who don't know us and folks who do know us, our COVID relief efforts are still moving forward. We still are a hub for masks, for sanitizer. We are going to be doing food deliveries starting this week on Wednesday. We'll talk a little bit about that in the announcement. Any resources that come our way that we're able to deploy back out to the community, we still serve as that hub during this time that the pandemic is still among us. We do have a free market that we do need cleaning up, and then it's a cleanup coming up soon. So we will be looking for volunteers, because this particular market is an abandoned store on 66 in Halsted. And like many locations in Englewood, people are fly dumping in the area. And so it's not an easy clean, but we still stock the shelves with essential items, with food, with anything that we can really help our neighbors who kind of walk in that area, around that area, catching a bus in that area. And we'll probably be doing market days as the weather hit back at that store on 66 in Halsted. And of course, once spring hit, we'll be hitting the streets on vacant lots or viaducts, beautifying areas, beautifying lots. That's one of the things that RAGE has done for a while. The lot behind me was just a messed up vacant lot that folks on the block helped beautify. And so those efforts will continue regardless of the pandemic or not. We were able to be very creative last year, not to have a huge crowd, but to be very conscious around the pandemic by still having fun and still beautifying areas. And we want to continue to do that in Englewood. And then Go Green on Racine. If you're a member, you probably saw a recent article that came out around the Green Line. So we are working on an organizing campaign that many of the people who either registered or attending this webinar today or on our list now will hear about. If you, and I just put this plug out now, if you or yourself have any stories around the 63rd and Racine Green Line that you would like to share and be uplifted so we can really amplify that voice, please, let's think about email you, Jim. Maybe we put email Jim. We will love, and we will be soliciting our members as well as residents because we want to hear what some of those stories were like. We know that the Green Line has been closed for almost 28, 27 years. Our goal is to have this Green Line on 63rd and Racine open by 2024. I'm putting that out in the universe. 2024 would be 30 years from the date that it was closed by Mayor Daly back in the day. So if you know of anyone or if you have any stories of either wanted to get on the train and couldn't get on the train, used to get on the train, or thoughts about if it was open and you would like to share, where would you go if 63rd and Racine were open? Where would you jump on the Green Line to head to? We would love to capture those stories. What's on the horizon? Something I'm extremely, extremely excited about. And the way that I really wanted to share this story, it's almost like our virtual reveal we did with Bishop, is really kind of take folks back who don't know Rage, who hasn't heard of us before, and or folks who may have forgotten some of the work that we have done in the past. So one of the things that people thought we were a little crazy and a little ambitious was when we really pioneered the large lot program. And this was an opportunity for residents who lived on a certain block, show proof of that, and to be able to purchase up to 2 vacant lots for $1. We had talked about this and we was working with the city and we was working with the Chicago Metropolitan Area Agency of Planning and LISC and Teamwork Englewood and a lot of other partners in the area. And folks were like, people are not going to want vacant lots. People are not going to want, to have to pay the taxes on them. And we got some pushback. But at the end of the day, this was 2014, and we're so glad in 2021 that the fact that a lot of us took ownership of this land, that now we could do what we want to do on our blocks. We actually are adding more value to our homes, and so our work that has evolved kind of started at this point. And we've always been talking about community ownership, land ownership, buying a block, real estate, and having a stake in Englewood. We all know that it is a trend on how urban communities are typically gentrified. And we see it, and we see it in Philly, we see it in New York, and we've seen it in Chicago. And I can definitely say probably now is the time that I'm starting to see some of those trends be more apparent than they was maybe a few years ago. And when I say that, I mean by looking at the market and seeing a house for $360,000 in Englewood. Like nobody, was purchasing single family homes for $300,000, even in 2008, when everybody was able to get into real estate. And now that's happening. And so a lot of us took advantage of this and actually have land in addition to our homes on our block. And this is my block, and that's my land, that's my house, and that's my building. So I have bought my block, which is why we are a huge advocate over buying a block, because we think there's enough blocks for Black people to actually purchase and get. And if you have to start with the home first, and then we have to push on the city to open back up the large lot program, that's something we're prepared to do. Some of the things, and it's a lot of stuff about the block, as you can see. Jobs on the block. One of our members, extremely creative, innovative. And I think the beauty of Rage, who do not know Rage, is that these, again, are people from the community with these innovative ideas. So Sharice Price, who has worked with Rage for at least the last almost 8-9 years, almost since our inception, had this idea of bringing employers to the block. We had about 4 or 5 shootings on this block back in 2000, maybe 16, maybe 17. And we just started talking to the people on the block and saying, what could we do to minimize the violence? What could we do to really assist you all with resources or whatever we could do? And they quite frankly just said, hey, we need jobs. And so Sharice kind of pushed him and challenged him and said, well, what if I brought the employees right here to 66 and Union? And that's where we're at on 66 and Union. And they were all for it. And so we did this, with not a guidebook, not a program, or no funding, honestly, to do this, but with the know-with-all of the residents of Englewood who have these connections and who have these innovative ideas. Jobs on the block, if we could have done it in 2020, it would probably would have overwhelmed us in terms of how many people now need jobs. We were targeting a certain population. We were targeting just, residents, but a lot of folks who were working this last year had stopped working. And so we really need to think through, and we will, what does jobs on the block look like today in this pandemic, and how could we, really execute this? And all of this is still around folks' economics and uplifting them economically. Our Englewood Rising campaign is something that we did back in 2018, I want to say. Again, Rage member, co-founder, Tonika Johnson, phenomenal as a photographer, phenomenal with the folded map program. We was doing a rebranding campaign, because if we're talking about investing in Englewood and buying in Englewood and doing things to create change in the community, you have to love Englewood. And so a lot of folks who live here, quite frankly, do not love Englewood. And so what can we do to at least show some of the love that we all feel and that we all know? And so we did that through this placemaking, art, guerrilla style billboard campaign, to really, really push a different narrative of what folks think about this community. And so this is some of our past work. And even now today, us taking this idea of Buy the Block and then taking it a step further to start our Englewood Development Group to actually rehab some of the houses that are in Englewood. And so that's happening now. Folks was at the Buy the Block reveal around Bishop. That will continue to happen. Buy the Block will continue to be built out so that we could be more of an institution to actually institute, development, getting people the opportunity, getting the resources, which is why we have Inland Bank here and every bank that we can partner with to think about every different product that we can get for folks who want home ownership here. Not trying to force them, but if you want it, how can we provide tools for that? All of this is now the re-up. Because all of these initiatives and more that I have not even named off already was all trying to shrink away at folks' economic status here in Englewood and trying to help. If you didn't have a job, how do you get a job? If you have a Black-owned business, how do we support you? If you want a home, how do we give you tools? And so we want all of those initiatives to flourish underneath the re-up. And now we're taking it a step further to actually get assets in the community so that we can bring Black-owned business within those assets. And I'll just pause and see if there's any questions. I know I've been talking a lot. Okay, we'll go back. So, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no questions currently. You're good.
And if y'all want to jump in any way, y'all can. I know I'm talking a lot. So what's the re-up? One thing about us is like Rage is always probably a couple of years ahead of their time with ideas and thoughts and innovation. We had came up with the re-up idea probably about 4 years ago and wanted to do a mixtape. and want to do a mixtape, which we still may do. So if somebody do it in Englewood, drop one first, just know we said we might do one. That really actually is a soundtrack for the work. I was playing hip hop when we came in, you know, all of this work is infused together. This is what community development is. It's art, it's, you know, it's development, it's organizing, it's advocacy, it's all of those things. And I think for us, we're in so many different spaces and thinking through like, but we are all of those things. Like we are in the conversations around development. We are in the conversation around, you know, advocating for certain resources. We are in a conversation around just thinking about folks on the block who need jobs. We are, you know, we're in all those spaces. So how do all those spaces coalesce together? And what does that look like? That's the re-up, and the re-up could be for anything. We want to re-up. We was fortunate to get a seed to help us with this initiative, and so fortunate to have a key team that is helping us think through how does this become also a re-up for Rage, for Englewood in general. And the pillars are, like I said before, I'm going to go back, creating employment, supporting Black-owned businesses, increasing housing opportunities, and building a strong local economy for the actual neighborhood. When I did research and I looked at how the dollar is rotated in Little Village and in Chinatown and other places outside of Chicago, our dollar leaves so quickly, it's not even funny. And all of this work really was an epitome of actually what happened in June after the looting. When you went out after the looting, if you was in Englewood, you did not see a lot of Black businesses out cleaning their business because we didn't have a lot of Black-owned, we don't have a lot of Black-owned businesses. Our ratio of Black-owned businesses is about 1 to, and I got to get the exact number, but it's astronomical in terms of how many it is running businesses here in comparison to our population. And then that the other populations are actually sending that money right to Bridgeview or right to another area. And so I just kept thinking, how do we get this, even if it's a small microcosm of Englewood, how is the dollar continuing to rotate? And so what we're going to do with the re-up, we're going to actually purchase some of these buildings that are not owned by us. Most of them are not. Rehab those, renovate those, and then put Black-owned businesses inside of those. So we'll be looking for Black-owned businesses with a certain amount of revenue who are looking to expand or relocate. We'll be doing an LOI for people to go and actually be out to apply for this and then actually submit an actual proposal. Our team thus far, this is not the end of the team. Steve Rogers has been my architect and my partner in the re-up. He is the one that's really helped us secure seed money to do this, and he has advised us every step of the way. And if you don't know Steve Rogers, he is a former professor at Harvard Business School, talked to Black entrepreneurs. He actually did an entrepreneur event here in Englewood. He's from Englewood. And so when I told him about how Rage needs to go deeper with the support for the local dollar and really creating a local economy for us, he jumped on the idea. And then I digged right into our members with one of our members, James Miles, who has done a significant amount of work around economic development models and plans. And so he's been assisting us. Of course, Dion Lucas, if you don't know him, he has a beautiful building at 63rd and May through E.G. Woods. He's been a part of the re-up team. And then another member of ours who is learning the commercial real estate world, her firm has been assisting us. And we're building out a more broader team to think about how we can work collectively, because we're going to need partners to help us execute a lot of the things that we want to see done. It's a lot of groups who are doing workforce development. It's groups who are working with the population who are in the reentry population. And we want to make sure that all of that is in the mix of the re-up. So our phase one, right now, some of the program highlights is, of course, the LOI opportunity, folks who are interested in coming into Englewood or expanding their business in Englewood. We will own the real estate and be managed by us. So again, we'll be thinking about how do we tap into a local property management firm, a local landscaping firm, a local construction firm, everything localized so that this local dollar just stays within the 60621 and 60636 zip code. And we want to see how long we could keep that dollar here with the strategies with this program. And then we'll be offering these Black-owned businesses almost like a reparations deal, like a re-up for them, 3 years of free rent. So it will be a competitive process. It won't be easy, but at the end of the day, if they are willing to come and really take a risk with us, you know, and come to Englewood and be here and expand and hire Englewood residents, you know, to me, an incentive for them to be here is necessary. And quite frankly, we already know that it's difficult for Black-owned businesses to get capital, and sometimes the hard cost is very difficult, and rent and everything else. So how can we eliminate at least that part of it for our Black-owned businesses? And then they have to be able to hire up to 10 qualified Englewood residents. We'll be tapping into folks who are working with local talent, who are already, you know, at Kidney King College, where students are learning certain trades that can go right into some of these positions that'll be available. And then we're going to build out like a preferred vendor list, which is all in the works right now, where we actually have the vendors of every single thing that we do, kind of like the list of what we share with our Black-owned businesses, so that everybody is collectively utilizing the Black-owned vendors within Englewood, as well as with the Black business directory. And then we'll be targeting, of course, abandoned commercial corridors that most of the, you know, developers are not really looking into. There's still opportunity zones, but they're also very forgotten corridors. So we'll be looking, of course, at Racine, at 59th Street, at 55th Street, at, you know, Halsted, yes, 63rd, yes. And so we've been aggressively looking at property in those areas. This is our timeline, and I just want to make sure. I think we're at 5:05, and I don't want to go over too much, but I'm going to open it up for any questions, and we could just see if we have any.
There's a few questions here.
Yeah.
I can read off. So, do you have a date scheduled for the cleanup on Halsted? Do you have a volunteers list or a task force to address the litter and the garbage?
Nope, we don't, but we are willing to work with anybody who wants to spearhead that and support them. We haven't did a call out for the cleanup yet because the weather has not been on our side, but we are looking to do that around April. And then we're also going to participate in Greater Englewood Unity Day, which is in May 8th. And we'll probably also target that area as another area to clean up.
There's a question about the next Englewood community meeting and that date. Do you have that date for that meeting?
Which community meeting?
It says the next Englewood Community Council meeting.
Not sure. If they're referring to the CAC meeting, I don't have those dates. If they're referring to Invest in Southwest, there is a meeting tomorrow with Invest in Southwest with the City of Chicago Department of Planning.
Okay, and then there's a few questions about this 3-year free rent program.
Yes.
Can you just share maybe where they can find additional info about that, perhaps?
They won't find it just yet. They're just hearing it right now. So all of that will be on our website. We'll be getting it out. If you register for the webinar, you're now on our list. Our LOIs probably would not go out until about April or May. We're looking at the second quarter. And so once the LOI come in, and we also have a community council look over those applications. So all those things are being developed.
Yeah, that looked like it's it, guys. Keep sharing your questions.
Yes.
I'll try to group like questions together for the sake of time.
Cool. And so as we bring on our guests, which I'm super excited to have Inland Bank join us to talk about we can't talk about buying a block. We can't talk about real estate. We can't talk about getting people homes if they're not certain fundamental tools that needs to be done in order to do that. And then also in terms of Katina joining us, the fact that we are talking about 203K loans, what we notice is that many of the properties, of course, in Englewood need help, need repair. And so we wanted an opportunity to talk about a product that could help with those. And so I do appreciate you guys both coming, and I'm gonna pull up the slides and share the screen, but I'm also gonna do another poll. So let's see, I think we have another one. Is anybody, I'm just gonna launch it really quickly. And Betsy, would you be going first? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. We just want to know if anyone's by the block ready. And that could be just, your first time trying to get a home, thought about it, maybe in the next 12 or 18 months. We definitely know more people are buying homes now because of COVID, because a lot of us are at home. And I've been renovating and looking at everything in my house since I've been at home. Cool. All right, we got about, okay, 61% is yes, that's great. That's good to know who our audience is. So we got it, cool. I'll let it go a little bit longer, maybe 4 more seconds. Thank you all, thank you all. So we got a 63% who are looking to purchase a home in the next 12 to 18 months. And about 23% that's not, and then about 15% that's unsure. So cool, that's cool. Betsy from Inland, take it away.
So will you be displaying the PowerPoint?
Yep.
Great, there it is. All right, thank you very much. My name's Betsy Donofrio, and I'm the CRA loan officer for Inland Home Mortgage, part of Inland Bank. Both Katina and I are going to talk today, but I'm going to talk on a little bit of basic financial information for your future. And it has a lot to do with credit building. Your credit has such an extreme amount of value. It's one of your most important assets. It's just something that if you don't have a credit score, you're invisible. But you know what? If you want to go back to that other page again, that's what I'm going to touch on. No, actually, for back to the beginning. There we go. There we go. Okay. What I wanted to do was explain with all of you some of the basics of credit. And it might be a review for you, but hopefully you will learn something today from me. There are 2 ways to pull credit. And there's the consumer credit report, which is through Discover, through Chase, through Credit Karma. And there's also the mortgage credit report. And there's a big difference between the 2. And if you look at the first bullet point, it's hard pull versus soft pull and fluctuating FICO scores. A mortgage credit report is a hard pull. We pull your credit. It comes from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, the 3 powerhouses that keep your credit all tucked away. And then there's also the soft pull, which is the Credit Karma and the Discovers and the Chases. And that's the soft pull. All it is giving you an estimation of your credit. So when we do a hard pull, your FICO score could differ dramatically from Credit Karma to a mortgage credit report pull. It's also like when you go to buy a car. That is a full hard pull as well. And this can ding your credit just a little bit, but just a few points, and it should go back to normal within a few weeks. To develop credit, what do we do? The second bullet point here. Well, we, along with a lot of other banks and other groups, have what is called a secured credit card. And we offer those to help you build your credit. And it's really exactly as the name says. I just did this for my brother-in-law. He needed to build his credit. So you put away a certain amount of money, say $300, with a credit card company, and they give you a $300 credit line. So in essence, you each month are using your $300 credit line, and you're paying it back every month on time, and that gets reported to the credit bureaus. So if you ever didn't pay your monthly payment, the $300 would be used to pay your bill. So in essence, it's a secured credit card, and it's a great way to help you build credit. Next, we've got another way for you to build credit is to become a co-signer on a family member or a brother, sister, friend, who's ever would will be willing to take you on to a Target, Kohl's, MasterCard, Visa. I added my daughters to my Target card just so they could get the benefit of my credit, so they could build their credit. Next, a big part of credit is not utilizing all the credit you're allowed to have. So if your credit limit is $1,000 on a credit card, we don't want you using more than 30 to 50% of that, if at all possible. Sometimes you can't help but use it because either through the loss of a job or through major hospitalization or whatever the circumstances are, we realize how you can max out your credit. But if you can eventually get that balance at 50 to 30% of your available credit, that will help your credit score immensely. What's it called? When not to pay off credit or rapid rescore technology. There are times when we have you apply for a mortgage where you might have some adverse credits, some medical collections, and you think you have to go and pay them. We might not want you to. We might leave those sleeping dogs lie. There's a lot of tricks to the trade that we've learned through the years that come into play with credit. And one of those tricks to the trade is called rapid rescore technology. Say we need your credit score above 640 and you're at 620. We have a program where we could rapidly rescore your credit and see what will happen if we input different information or if we pay off something, what will happen to your credit score. So we have the ability to see what can be done to improve your credit score. And just so you know, I'm working right now with someone who has a 520 credit score. We know we have a lot of work to do. We need to get from 520 up to at least 620. I'd like to get that person to 720, but right now we're at a 520, and it's probably going to take 18 months to 2 years to get her where she needs to be. But just so you know, you got to start somewhere. And that's my job as a CRA loan officer, to help you on that work you need to do to increase your credit score. But last but not least, with the bullet points, credit freezing. Why do you want to do a credit freeze? Well, we all know that there's been a number of groups that have had people infiltrate their firewalls and have gotten in and stolen people's identities. Well, if your credit has been stolen, or your identity has been stolen, or whatever the case may be, we might need to freeze your credit. And so there's no cost to it. It's easy to do. I've listed the three credit groups down below and how to freeze the credit. I had to do it with my daughter because she had somehow had her credit compromised. So right now her credit is frozen. She might be buying a car sometime soon. We unfreeze it, she buys the car, and then we freeze it up again. But there's a lot to be done with credit. Do you need help disputing credit? We help you dispute credit. There's so much to be done with credit, and we are here to help you establish and maintain your credit, first and foremost. You want to go to the next page? Okay, next one. A lot of people ask me, well, what's the big deal with my FICO score? How can it really affect my interest rate? Well, it's huge how it can affect your interest rate. People don't realize this. And here's a really good example. If you take a look at this grid here, if you have a score that's below 740, believe it or not, your mortgage rate could potentially increase by 1/8 of a point. If your FICO score is between 700 to 720, it could increase 1/4. 680 to 700, it could increase 3/8. 660 to 680, 1/2 a point. 640 to 660, 3/4 of a point. Right now, rates have gone up a little bit. They used to be in the high 2s. Now they're in the low 3s. But say my credit score is 620 and your credit score is 750. I'm going to probably pay 3/4 of a point more for my interest rate on my mortgage than you are because my FICO score is lower. So you need to understand, people say, well, how do I save money? This is how you save money, by increasing your FICO score. And we have the tools to help you do it. If you want to go to the next page. This is another example of fluctuating interest rates with your credit score. And this is when you go out to buy a car. If you have a stellar FICO score, 780 to 850, your new car rate is in the 3s, your used car rate is in the 4s. But look what happens when you start to go a little bit lower, 660 to 780. It's about 4.5 and 5, almost 6 on a used car. Non-prime, 600 to 660, 7.5 or over 10% on a used car. Subprime, 500 to 600 is 12% or 16% on a used car. And then deep subprime, 14% on a new car, 20% on a used car. So you need to understand that when credit is given out, they are going to look at the risk. And I hate to say it, but one of the ways to measure your risk of lending to you is through your FICO score. And so this shows the huge difference between 4% on a used car with a really, really high FICO score, where it goes up to 20% on a subprime FICO score. It's just a terrible thing, but it's what happens with interest rates and FICO scores. On to the next page. This is another thing that is looked at when you go for a mortgage. And this is called DTI. It's debt to income. And we look at this and we measure what your debt is in relationship to your income. So we just have 2 examples here. I have a gross monthly income of 6,000, excuse me, 3,000. And if you'll notice, I said gross income. We don't take your net income. We take your gross income, because we don't know what you're paying for taxes. We don't know what you're paying for insurance, or if you put money away for a 401k. We don't know. We look at your gross income. So here we have monthly credit card debt of 400, a car loan of 500, and student loans of 650. We've got total monthly debts of 1,550. We take that and it's divided it into your gross income. If you'll notice, that's 51, almost 52% of your gross income is going toward your monthly debts. We can't get you approved for a mortgage. This is way, way too high. Now let's look at the second example. Gross income of 3,000. Your credit card debt is 200. Your car loan is 400 and your student loans are 350. Total monthly debts, 950. We divide that into your income of 3,000 and it's roughly 32% of your gross income. This is a much better place to be when it comes to your debt in relationship to your income. One other thing I wanted to tell you about this example is, if you'll notice that the student loans are very high. The student loan is 650. Even with the better example, it's 350. We actually have a program through IDA, which is the Illinois Housing Development Authority, and they pay off student loan debt to help you buy a home. So there's incredible products out right now with the state and with the city and with the county and with us and all the other banks that help you buy a home with grants. And so this is something that we do and we do for a living, and we are here to help and serve you. But I am done with my presentation. We are going to go on to Katina now, and she's going to talk about 203Ks. But thank you for your time, and I hope I shed some light for you.
Yeah, and then if we can, Betsy, if there are questions, you'll be on to answer any questions.
Of course.
Yep. And then let me pull up Katina. And Katina, how are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for having us today.
Sure. Let me actually find your PowerPoint. And thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
Here we go.
So today we're going to talk about 203K mortgages, and what that type of mortgage is it's a rehabilitation loan. So it has all sorts of great possibilities for people who are not only first-time home buyers, but people who are also looking to either do work on a present home that they own, or to purchase their next property, right? To move up to the next property that they'd like to own. Could you do me a favor? Next screen. So in today's market, we all know that there's really, there's a lack of volume, right? There's a lot of houses out there, and maybe they aren't your perfect home, right? That there are homes, as you guys were talking about earlier, that are in need of a little facelift, right? There's some that are just need some cosmetic work to maybe get them where you would like to see your house. Or there are some that have been foreclosures and vacant for years that are really in bad shape, and maybe slotted almost for demolition, right, by the city. Everything from a minor facelift to a full rehab or addition is possible on a 203K loan. It's a great solution for somebody who would like to buy a property that's a diamond in the rough, or owns a property that maybe needs some work, but doesn't have a lot of cash, or doesn't want to use their cash to do the work, right? They want to partner with somebody who's going to invest in them and in their property, and take that property and really make it bring it to their vision. Next slide, please. So again, this is for anybody who's looking to purchase a property. So the way that the program works is that you either purchase a property and it needs work. Let's say that it needs new kitchen, new baths, painting, maybe it needs to be tuck pointed on the outside, and some work on maybe the sidewalks, things like that, right? The way that the program works is you take the purchase price of the home, and then we add in the cost of the improvements, and we lend you money based on the total acquisition, so the purchase price plus the work. It also works on people who own a home already, who live in a property that either needs work or they want to do improvements on it. And the way that it works, if you currently own the home, is it's based on future value. So either way, the loan that you're getting on this program is based on future value, not the current value. So we want to finance in that work for you and help you get your dream home. Next screen, please. So on a purchase, the loan is based on 96.5% of either your purchase price plus improvements, or 110% of the future value. So if you're looking to purchase a property, and let's say you're buying it for $25,000 and you're going to do $30,000 worth of work, right? You're at $55,000 for total acquisition. If it appraises for $55,000 or above, right, you need 2.5% of the $55,000. Let's say it doesn't quite appraise at 55, but it appraises at 50. We take 110% of that 50, which would bump it up to 55. You still only need 3.5% of your own funds of the purchase price plus the work to get in there. So, you know, for a fairly small investment, you can really get a home, the home of your dreams. And this program is based on single family properties all the way through multi-units, 2, 3, or 4 unit properties. Next screen, please. If you own the home already and we're going to be refinancing it in order to do the work, you need even less equity in the property. You only need 2.25% of equity based on the future value. So if your property was worth $100,000 once we've done the work, you can borrow up to $97,750 against that future value. As long as all of that money is going towards paying off your current mortgage, towards the work that we're going to do, which does include what's called a contingency reserve, which is a slush fund for any overages or unexpected expenses that would be through the construction. As a general rule, that slush fund is anywhere from 10 to 20%, depending on the condition of the property. And I'll get into that a little later. And so that money will cover paying off the current mortgage, the work, your contingency reserve, and your closing costs, hopefully. And if it does, you would need no money in order to refinance that property and get into it. Next screen, please. So there's two different versions of the 203K. One is a streamlined version. It's fabulous. It is where you only are doing cosmetic work, nothing structural, nothing that needs an architect, and the work needs to be able to be done in 60 days or less, okay? As long as the work, including your contingency reserve, doesn't exceed $35,000, the only people involved in the project are you as the homeowner, a contractor of your choice. So you don't have to use somebody we tell you. You can use any contractor you want. We do vet the contractor. So we do our own background checks and things like that on the contractor. We want to make sure that the people you're partnering with, the builders and contractors you're partnering with, don't have any glaring red flags, right? We want to make sure that this is a good opportunity for you. These loans are fabulous for everybody, again, from a first-time home buyer, right, to somebody who is moving up from their first, second, or third home, right, and maybe wants to expand into multifamily or go from multifamily to a single family. So we just want to make sure that the people you're partnering with are going to take care of you and that the house will be finished, the house will be finished in a timely manner and the work is done well, right? These loans, again, are good from single family homes all the way up to 4-unit families. And when we qualify you on these loans, you are allowed to use the future rental income from the second, third, or fourth unit to help you qualify so you can afford a larger property based on future rents. Next slide, please. Here are some things that are allowed under that streamline program, right? Windows, doors, roofs, gutters, flooring, painting, new kitchen, appliances. You can washer, dryer, stove, anything that's a permanent addition to the property, right? You can also use it for energy improvements, upgrading insulation and HVAC repairs, plumbing, electrical, remodeling of any part of the house, as long, again, as it's not structural and you don't need an architect to do it, and it'll be done within 60 days. On many properties that have been foreclosed or vacant for quite a long time, we do a lot of mold removal, and on the older properties, we do a lot of lead paint abatement, right? Where the property has peeling lead paint, which is hazardous, and so we do a lot of mold removal and lead paint abatement. Next screen. One thing that's not done on the streamline that is not allowed, right? Room additions, foundation work, because that's structural, right? Removing walls, fencing and landscaping, new pools, and anything that would last longer than 90 days. Next screen, please. The other option is the full 203K. So on the full 203K, it works exactly the same as the streamline. The only difference is there is no limit to the work you can do. We did a property on South Indiana where the property was a historic home, but it was in such bad shape that it was slotted for demolition. The only thing that was left literally was the front facade and half of another wall. And it was a 4-unit property. At one time, it was beautiful. We took that property. The woman had grown up in the house next door. She purchased it at an auction for taxes, and we did a $250,000 rehab on it, and it's still on the historic register today. And she has several nieces and nephews. They all live with her and are enjoying this property. That's just one example. Another great example is a lot of times people are living in homes and they don't have the cash to do the work to make it better. There's disrepair through the house and they just can't find the cash. Either they're on a fixed income or they've had some issues with being laid off or money's tight, right, for whatever reason. And with this program, we've been able to help so many people be able to do the repairs necessary for them actually to really enjoy their whole home. It's a great way to be able to enhance their space without breaking the bank, right? And this program allows, like I said, everything from minor cosmetic issues to full additions. And it also can be used to convert or deconvert properties. We have deconverted 4-unit properties down to 2 units or single families where someone has bought, a 3 or 4 unit and then made it one living space, right? We've also done a few where we've had people buy a 2-unit and then put an addition on it and make it a 3-unit property. So we've done tons and tons of properties all over Chicago, quite a few in Englewood as well. And we've really enjoyed watching some of these properties come back to their full bloom, right? To, their excellence. And the only real issue that HUD has about the work that's being done is their mission is that every American should own a home, right? But they want these to be practical additions and practical work. They don't want barbecue pits outside. They don't want outdoor fireplaces. They don't want luxury items or things that would price the house out of the natural market, right? I apologize, my dog was playing with chasing his bone. And so they just really want you to be conscious of the work that's being done, but as long as it's appropriate for the property, right? And making it that much better and livable, that is exactly what they're looking for. Next slide, please. These loans generally have up to 5 payouts total on the larger loans, right? On the smaller streamline, we generally will give half the money up front to the builder at closing, and then we give the other half when the work is done. Occasionally, we will do 2 payouts on those loans where something unusual will come up. Here's a good example. We had a lady buy a single family home. She did her walkthrough in the morning and closed later in the afternoon. That night after closing, she went to the house with the builder and it was cold. They went to turn the heat on and nothing was happening. So they went downstairs to take a look at the furnace to see maybe what, what needed to be done to get it fired up. And all that was left of the furnace was the outside cover. The furnace, someone had come in and taken out. She called us and said, I need to buy a furnace, right? And that wasn't budgeted into the work that we were doing at the house. Luckily, though, the contingency reserve we had built in was big enough to cover most of that furnace. So that's one of the reasons we do those contingency reserves. The other reason is very often on rehab projects, you will open the walls and something ugly will rear its head. And so we don't want you to continually be dipping into your pocket to try to find money to fix those things, right? We want to be able to provide this cushion so that we can give you the comfort of knowing there is some money set aside, right, for these emergencies. On a home where all the utilities are working, it's a 10% contingency. So 10%, whatever your project is, will be added to it and held with the funds while the work is being done. On a project where any of the utilities are off, so gas, water, or electric, any one of them is off, it's a 15% contingency because there's more likelihood that maybe something will, there might be a broken pipe we don't know about, or something wrong with the electric panel. If all of the utilities are off or the property's not habitable, you're required to have a 20% contingency. So 20% of whatever your budget is to do the work, an additional 20% will be added to it and added to your loan. Next screen, please. Again, you can use any contractor you want as long as we don't see any really ugly red flags, right? We want to make sure that this is good for you, right? We want to make sure that the contractors you're picking are working for you. You need a written contract with your builder, and it has to detail what they're charging for labor versus what they're charging for materials. It has to have their contact information on it, on their, their letterhead or whatever, right? And the contractor has to be licensed for the work that they're performing. A general contractor in the state of Illinois doesn't have to be licensed, but the city of Chicago requires them to be licensed. If they're doing roofing, they have to be you have to have a licensed roofer, right? If it's HVAC, they have to be licensed for HVAC. If it's one general and they're hiring subcontractors, we need to know who's doing that work, and we need those licenses and insurances. If you're on a smaller project, we'll allow you to have 3 separate individual contractors. So you could have a carpenter, a roofer, and a painter, right? The roofer is really the only one that's required to be licensed, but we want to make sure everybody has the proper insurances, okay? The other thing is repairs have to start within 30 days of closing. In Chicago, it's very hard to get a permit within 30 days of closing. If you're having issues, you need to let us know. If you're not, some people will hire a permit expediter. If you're not doing that and you're not going to get your permits, let us know so that we can make sure that it's noted in the file what the expected timing is, because HUD is really specific about this. Next screen, please. One more, please. Before I stop the presentation, I want to let you know, besides the FHA 203K, which we just talked about, there is a program. It's called the Fannie Mae Home Style. It is the sister program to this. It works very similarly. There's a streamlined version, and then there is a full version where you can do full additions and things like that. The biggest difference between these two programs is that on the 203K, you can use this financing up as long as it's owner occupied, up to a 4-unit property with only 3.5% down payment. On the Fannie Mae version, You can use it for owner occupied properties up to 4 units, but as you increase the number of units, your down payment also has to increase per Fannie Mae guidelines. And you can also use it though for investment properties, but it's single family investment properties only. And you're generally required to have at least 20% equity or 20% down payment based on your project plus the acquisition of the property. So there are lots of options, and you can get seller credits to help you with costs on both options. And again, they're for purchases or for refis, but it really is a fabulous option to really help if you have a property in mind that needs a little work, or a lot of work. These are great options. And I really thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us and call us anytime.
Can you share your contact info just once more? Also, the previous presenter, Betsy.
Sure. It's on my contact info is on the previous screen.
I believe mine is listed on the pages I presented. But if not, you could always contact Katina and she could forward the email to me.
Absolutely.
And I did see some hands up. Did you see those, Jim? A couple of, because I know that was a lot of information. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw the hands go up, but I'm not seeing those same hands anymore.
And then I see it was some questions in the chat. Was it related to the presentation? I just want to make sure we grab them.
Yeah, there's one question. Well, there's a few actually, but the first
Okay.
one here wants to know how the 203K can affect their VA loan in the future.
It does not affect the VA loan at all. So they're completely separate. If they're looking to do VA financing on a future property, that the FHA loan should not affect it at all.
Okay, going through. Yeah, I don't know if you guys see any other questions. Max usage is 35% to increase credit scores, blah, blah, blah. That's not a question. At what age can we start adding kids as co-signers? I
did it above the age of 18, but Katina, do you think it's 16 and above or 18 and above?
I actually added my daughter at 16. She was traveling for school, and she needed to have something with her. And so I was able to add her at 16. But generally most people start at 18, but you can start as early as 16, and they can get like a credit card. It will be in their own name if that's, and then it's like an authorized user sort of, but it does give them a start to credit because the credit card can be put in their own name at 16.
Got it.
I see. Oh, I'm sorry. I see questions in the question and answer area. Someone adds, what is the name of the grant that you was referring to, Miss? I'm gonna put Betsy, the grant that you mentioned.
Yeah, it's called the Smart Buy program. It's with IDA, Illinois Housing Development Authority. And we are a bank that is approved by IDA. And so we offer the programs. And there is a message that someone listed in the chat about how all the grants are deferred. In essence, we do have grants that are forgivable. So just so you know, IDA has a program and the Federal Home Loan Bank has a program in which you can get up to $6,000 of grant money for down payment and closing costs. And if you stay in the property 5 years, the entire amount of money is forgiven. There's other programs where it's deferred and then you must pay it when you sell or refinance. But there are programs where the grants are forgiven. And the Smart Buy student loan payoff program, as long as you stay on the property for 36 months, which is 3 years, you do not owe any grant money, or excuse me, any student loan funds back. Nothing is paid. It's 100% forgiven after 36 months. The key to the program is that it cannot exceed either $40,000 or 15% of the sales price. So say 15% of your sales price is $20,000, then we would pay off the 20. But say your balance on your student loan is $25,000. Someone has to come up with that additional $5,000 because the student loan must be paid off in full according to IDA guidelines. So there are some hoops we have to jump through, but it's just a simple phone call to us to see if it's something that you would be able to qualify for.
I saw something, are there income parameters for the 203K?
There are no income parameters. As long as you qualify, right? The same as you would for any other mortgage. There's no max income limits.
Somebody asked, how far off is the South versus hard credit pool? If the South shows a decent credit score, is there a big difference with the hard pool?
Normally, it's probably within 10 to 30 points, but every once in a while, and I've only seen it once, there was a difference of 100 points. But that's very rare. I would have to say, if we pull your credit and we see it's coming in around, Credit Karma says 640. I would hope that a hard pull would be the same, but I'd be concerned that it might fluctuate a few points.
Yep. And then I think the last one, and you might have already touched on this one, is there a credit requirement for the 203K?
We require a minimum of a 660 credit score for the 203K, just slightly higher because it's a riskier program, right? And we just want to make sure that we are not setting somebody up to fail. We want to make sure that they show some credit responsibility where we can make sure that this is good for them, right?
Yep. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And as you can see, the audience is definitely interested, have very great detailed questions. We do this and connect with banks like Inland who reach out to us, after they've seen some of our work, to really first connect and then build a relationship with them so that we can have maybe smaller and more thorough conversations with folks who need maybe one-on-one assistance from the bank. And we want to continue to build relationships with financial institutions who particularly have products that can meet the needs of the residents in Englewood. So I thank you both, Katina and Betsy, for your time today. I hope that the questions were valuable, and I hope that we could be working with Inland Bank more thoroughly in terms of the products that they can help build some of the homeowners here in Englewood. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yes.
very much. It's our pleasure.
No problem. And so we do want to take just a moment. I know we're running a little bit out of time to do Voices from the Village. If it's an announcement or something that you would just like to share with us, or you can raise your hand and then we could take you off mute. We just want to give at least a minute for any voices or announcements that anybody would like to share. Any hands up? Oh, I see Marcus Robinson.
Looks like I might have
There
been.
you go. There you go. Hey.
Yeah. I don't know if can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So I just wanted to tell everybody that Thursday night I've got my Crucial Connections talk show streaming at collaboraction.org. Starts at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. No, 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. And you just go to collaboraction.org to register. Tomorrow's subject matter is about the rising tide of violence against Asians in the community. And so would love to invite you all out for that Crucial Connections dialogue session.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you. I appreciate you. Was it anyone else with their hand raised? Oh, I see.
Karen has her hand up. I'm gonna go to Karen.
Yep.
Go ahead and unmute, Karen.
Good evening. I just want to share an announcement about Growing Homes. It's in Englewood. They have a job readiness, a paid $14 an hour, 12-week program. And they're accepting applications. It starts on, I think the 19th is the deadline. So if anyone is interested in that, I could share that information. I could email it to you, Aisha.
That would be perfect. Join Rage or either put it in a group or both will be great. Thank you. I see another hand.
All right, Roger, go ahead. Roger Engelman.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, a bunch of organizations are co-hosting what I'm hoping will be our last virtual online job fair and employment resource fair for Englewood on Thursday, March 25th. We're planning to have a lot of companies as well as employment resources ranging from training and placement to college to entrepreneurship. You can find the flyer on Facebook. If you go to Bright Community Services page, there's a flyer there. We'll also have it on the Facebook members only page. Thank you.
All right, and then we have Camille Harmon. Go ahead, Camille Harmon.
Hi, I'm Camille Harmon from Children's Home and Aid. We will be having a community focus group in April. So if anyone is interested, you can reach me at charmon@children'shomeandaid.org. We will be having various constituents from the community out. We hope to have an alderman out just to kind of get a sense of what the community needs as far as our parents that attend Children's Home and Aid and the community overall. We want to just make sure that we're supporting as best as we can. So if anyone wants to come out and join us so your voice can be heard, please do.
Thank
Right.
you. And I think that's good, Aisha.
Okay, perfect. And any links that we have, and then also if you can share them with us, we'll make sure we're sharing too. I think for us, the only other announcements that we have is that tomorrow we'll be at Bunch Elementary School right off of 65th in Ashland. I'm doing a food distribution. So if you know any residents who are in need of food, we will be there in collaboration with Top Box Food, with the 16th Ward Alderman and some other partners. We put the flyer on the screen. And then we're also, for people who just joined Rage or are interested in connecting with Rage, really, this is a more deeper dive into our work, some of the reasons why we're doing it, what we're doing, getting a chance to meet other members who may have recently joined. That's coming up on the 24th. It will be a virtual Zoom meeting, so we'll see your faces and be able to interact a little bit better. We had up to about 90 people today, so that's why we've been choosing the webinar portion, but don't expect that many people for the open house. So if you're a new member and never done an in-person or virtual open house, this is for you. And if you're curious or just want to know more, it's also open to you as well. And then we're going to do, one of our members is really leading this effort, another entrepreneur in the community, Myesha Trotter, Easter basket giveaway. We typically don't do holiday oriented events, but when our members, come to us about something they want to do, we try to support them in every way possible. So we'll be doing that in our plaza here at 6622 South Union. Hopefully the weather will be great. We'll be sharing that information. If it's info or if you want to be involved or help or support, definitely email us at joinrage@gmail.com. And then again, please remember if it's questions around the slides, I did make the mistake and record kind of late, so I didn't get the entire recording, but it is on Facebook, so you can share it on there. We will put the slides, the ones at Inland Bank, with their permission, we will share those as well as ours. And for anyone who have any questions, these are the best ways to reach us, either through DM and on our social media, our phone, email, our website. We have a contact us. And so that's the easiest way to do that. And then if it's virtual or not, we don't know. We are thinking about ways to have an open village meeting in the plaza. We thought about it last year and just want to make sure that we're conscious in terms of how many people may show up. But if not, it will probably be virtual again, and it'll be on Tuesday, May 16th. I do want to thank everyone who took the time out today to come. If it's questions around the re-up, if any of our members have questions, please do not hesitate to contact us or Jim or either Brittany. Any of us can probably assist you. We do appreciate you spending your evening, your early evening with us, and we'll see you at our next meeting. Again, the open house, if you have not joined, or if you were thinking about joining, or you have joined, attend our open house March 24th on Wednesday at 4:30. I thank you all, and I hope you have a blessed and pleasant evening. I just want to make sure is it other hands raised? I just want to make sure we don't miss anybody.
It looks like maybe
Oh.
2 hands. Or
Anybody
one.
that we didn't call on? I see Pat. Oh, Pat. I'm gonna let Pat talk before, but it is almost 6 o'clock. Pat, are you there? Uh-oh. Unmute. I knew I saw a hand.
Oh, I didn't really raise my hand.
Oh. Okay.
That was a mistake, but wonderful as always.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I hope to see everybody either virtually or in person, some type of way. We appreciate you all. Have a beautiful Tuesday. Talk to you soon. Thank you. And thank you to our guest speakers as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Let me put.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Just gonna ask her a few more questions. Okay.